What's going on, everyone? So the Lakers are officially in control of the 7th seed, and that is massive. On top of that, we are officially over 500, which you may think it's only one game, but to take in consideration that this team started the season 2-10, and the probability of them getting into the playoffs was zero, essentially. Only 4 teams ever in history have started 0-5 and made the playoffs. And on top of that, no team, I believe, had ever started 2-10 and made the playoffs. And the Lakers look like they might be the first team to do that. On top of that, it looked like, and the conversation was, is this team even going to make the playoffs or the play-in? And now the conversation is this team going to win an NBA championship? Like, the fact that that is even a real conversation now, and people truly believe that the Lakers have a real shot at, if they get into the playoffs, they can actually win here, is incredible. What a turnaround. It has been night and day. The fan base, the fandom, the excitement, the energy, just everything is so different. This team is fun. This team is enjoyable. This team, it plays both sides of the ball. They are more balanced. They have size. They have defense. They have scoring. They have shooting. They have playmaking. They have the stars. They have all the intangibles you need to win an NBA championship. But this team also looks like a team that enjoys each other, right? One of the beauties of the bubble team was that team seemed to really like each other. That team seemed to really get along. That team's chemistry was incredible. And we made all these trades. We had this complete roster turnaround. And on top of that, it was like, okay, well, we have 25 games to do what teams have done an entire season, an entire offseason, an entire training camp, an entire preseason, all of this stuff. We have to expedite that. And it's like this team has played together all year. They've had their hiccups here and there, of course, and there's moments where, chemistry looks a little off and stuff, but to be in the position that they're in, we haven't lost a game healthy. We haven't lost a game healthy. And we've played some really good teams. We played a bunch of road games during that stretch, and this team is just getting it done. I mean, again, think of where we were 2 months ago, right? I mean, it was a disaster. I mean, this team, it was, do we just trade LeBron, AD, and start from scratch? And now it's like, man, like, we need to keep these guys for the long haul. Like, we could win the next 2-3 championships, right? It's just, the conversation has completely changed. We went from a Russ that didn't fit to a Russ that seems to be a perfect fit. Like, it's just the entire situation and scenario has just changed on the fly. And it's brought just such a freshness. It's just such a breath of fresh air that just deserves the conversation, deserves the talk. And look, that doesn't mean that they're going to win the championship this year. It doesn't mean that, we even make the playoffs. It's just the fact that we're even here in this position just gives you so much hope and promise and excitement for the future, right? And I said this when we first got this team, right? I said that this team gives us a real shot, but there is a real uphill battle we have to climb. It's going to be very tough. And even if we don't reach that, you have an entire offseason, an entire training camp, an entire preseason, and an entire regular season for this team to start clicking and now really be a contender. Imagine where we would be if this team started this year together. We'd probably be the 3 or 4 seed at the worst, if not better, right? And it's just, think of all that has happened, even with this team. We've played, 4 or 5 games fully healthy? And I mean, technically, we're not even fully healthy. You're still missing Mo Bamba, right? And Rob Pelinka was able to turn water into wine, literally. I mean, look at the guy. I mean, Rui's not even in this picture because he wasn't part of like the big trades, right? But, we basically rehauled our entire roster, turned Russell Westbrook And to D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley, even with Malik Beasley and his struggles, it's still, at any moment, you just feel like, oh man, he's going to turn it around, right? He's a great quality shooter. He stretches the floor. And look, he just had a great shooting night. That could be the beginning. And if it is, watch out. Whether this team wins a championship this year or not, it's just, it brings so much excitement for the future. It's like, man, imagine what this team could be next season. You know, and even the ability to make little minor changes in the offseason. I'm not even talking, I mean, there's always the possibility the Lakers go get like a Kyrie or something like that. But even if they just took like, say, Mo Bamba and Malik Beasley and got like another mid-tier guy, right? Like, or just keep the team intact. Either way, to have an entire season next season. And then imagine if we win this year, it's a real possibility. It's a real conversation, which is insane, right? Like, it was considered overly optimistic, right? Like I have had it's all on video, right? So I had moments where I said, you know, hey, I'll take my chances with this team. You know, if we get into the playoffs, you still got LeBron James, you still got Anthony Davis, right? Like, got to beat those guys in a 7-game series. It was optimistic. It was overly optimistic. You know, I even say, like, I wouldn't have bet on it, all that stuff, right? Like, it's just really rough. It's not overly optimistic with this team. This team has all of the tools and intangibles. The only real question is just health. Can they stay healthy? If they can stay healthy, this team is terrifying. Terrifying. This team has been really good, and we haven't had LeBron James for a good chunk. We hadn't had Anthony Davis for a chunk. We didn't have D'Angelo Russell for a good chunk. We had games where we didn't play with any of them. You know, like, it's just, it's absolutely incredible what this team has been able to do. And to be able to say, we may be able to come out the Western Conference and win an NBA championship, and it's not far-fetched. Like, there's not a single person that would be surprised if this Lakers team won a championship. If we won a championship with the previous team, people would probably be surprised. You know, at the end of the day, people would be like, well, you still have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but people would have been shocked. This team, you're not shocked. There is no surprise if this team wins an NBA championship. People are going to talk smack saying, well, you should have. I mean, you got LeBron James and Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell, and you got, you know, Mo Bamba and Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley and Dennis Schroeder, and like, you're one of the deepest teams in the league. When right now they're not saying that, right? I mean, there's always going to be that chirping. It is just unbelievable, and we got to keep this team intact. Got to give credit to Rob Pelinka. You got to give credit to the front office, right? And I know people look at it as like, well, Rob Pelinka should have never put the team together that he put together. Like, maybe in the offseason, there weren't really, like, what was his options? He had no options. None of these trades were available in the offseason. We could have done Buddy Hield to Miles Turner. I would rather have the team we have now than Buddy Hield to Miles Turner, right? Like, with the other guys, absolutely. I would take this team 10 times out of 10 over doing the Buddy Hield to Miles Turner deal. And we got all of these pieces for less, for literally half of what we would have got for Buddy Hield or what we would have had to give up for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Like, Rob Pelinka was patient, got the guys that he could get to just kind of put a roster together, and then was able to scrounge out a incredible trade and an incredible roster. And he deserves credit for that. You know, I mean, he gets the blame for the Russell Westbrook trade, even though it's not his entire doing. But he is the GM. He is the voice. He is the guy. He is the face, right? So you got to take your lump. Okay. But then in the same breath, he deserves to be praised and he deserves to be credited when he does something that he just did, right? Like, he went and got a good, young, talented, depth roster. He did something that nobody thought he could do. Literally, nobody thought. You don't hear any, for months and months, all I heard was people screaming for Rob's head. Rob is the worst GM in the league. Fire Rob. Rob's an idiot. Rob doesn't know what he's doing. This is why you don't hire an agent to be the GM. The chirping. And you hear none of it now. None of it. Because Rob Pelinka proved that, like, he can do the job. He's paid to do the job for a reason. And he did a spectacular job. But you got to keep it together, right? Jeannie's going to have to pony up and spend some money. And she has shown on occasion to be cheap, right? Cheaper than we would like her to be, right? Like, such as going and getting another big man. But you're going to have to pull out your pocketbook, write some checks. You're going to have to do what you got to do, because this team, we need a full season with it. Even if we win the championship, you need to put this team together, especially if you win a championship. If we're a first round exit, you got to give this team a chance for a full season. You just got to. Even if, knock on wood, we don't make the playoffs and we lose in the play-in or something. Again, knock on wood. You still got to give this roster a full chance. Look at what they've done in such a short period of time. Imagine what they could do in an entire season. This team could be terrifying. I mean, they already are. Nobody wants to play this team in a 7-game series. And this team is just so fun. So much. It's brought joy back to the Lakers brand. It's brought joy back to Lakers basketball. And I'm excited for it. I really am. I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm excited to see how Anthony Davis leads this team going forward and how this team looks post-LeBron, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think, this team is a blast? Think it's not? Are you excited for the future? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.